This is bad quality or good quality? Guarantee I'll be copyrighted because of this. So this is easier, like to actually like bring up topics because I can see what the hell everybody else is seeing. But so apparently they're trying to crack down on weed, and it's like, dude, the problem is that first of all, foreigners are getting the licenses to sell this stuff, and it's a lot of shady business because they're foreigners. There's not many checks and balances. So they kind of get away with whatever they want to get away with. One second, let me see if I can bring this closer. That's a little better. So now, now that I get a second device running, I'll be able to talk about a few things. Should lead to an interesting conversation, right? So with this whole legalization of weed, like the reason why it failed is because they tried to legalize and decriminalize everything. And that wasn't the point. Everybody who was a weed advocate, they wanted just weed. They wanted weed so they didn't do anything else. They didn't have to drink, you know. But now there's people that are in charge and they're authority figures, and they're like, "Oh, weed's bad because it brings everything else." Like they're trying to call it gateway again. Alcohol is the hardest gateway drug, except for ecstasy, that you could ever get your hand on. So when people are saying gateway drug, alcohol is the biggest gateway. First time I drank when I was young, I stole alcohol from my parents, you know, and it's a bigger deal because that is what got me to smoke a cigarette. That's what got me to, be involved with idiots. And thankfully, I didn't fall into drugs, but I saw what happened to other people. Other people gatewayed into other things, mostly because they were at the party drinking. So this whole conversation around weed, it needs to just end with a happy ending where Americans get the licenses to sell, Americans get the licenses to grow. Welcome. And there needs to be more licenses added to the pool so people can actually make those trades. But Japan apparently just launched an H3 rocket. That's kind of a big deal. I don't think they have done that before. What's Might Indo? What's that mean? Let's see what else is being talked about. Again, Rob Schneider trying to appeal to the masses still, which I mean he's a good dude, but his form of comedy, it's like every once in a while it's funny. Most of the time it's just true. Let's see. There's really not much else to talk about. Like they're keeping a lot of this information in the dark spaces of the web. So you have to be part of like the dark web to see everything. and I'm not doing that. So other watching in that dark space. Like they saw the Belfast video, apparently. Like it was like posted everywhere. Everybody saw it. I don't want to see that. I've already seen something similar. I don't need to see that. So I'd rather just hear about it actually happening. Yeah, you said hi. You said hi. You said, might you know? And you said hi again. Hi. Are you not hearing me? Can you hear me? Tell me if you can't. Damn, we're getting a lot of people on this live stream. I wish somebody would have some conversation though. Like, what's the biggest problem you guys see today that needs to be solved immediately? Throw it in the chat. I'll put the all comments on so I can actually see if somebody does that. So we can hear you, so what's up? I want my audience to tell me what kind of issues do you see in the world that you want to see solutions for? Really, whatever level you're sitting at, you're rich, mid, poor, whichever level you're sitting at, I want to hear in the comments what are the biggest problems. People being decent to each other and judging by character of their person. That's beautiful. That falls in line with my last live video where I was talking about rude behavior and how we're supposed to be judging people based on the character, but we're judging people based on what they have. That's like, it's completely opposite, you know? Um, this whole, like, it's a generational problem. You have the older generation that doesn't want to teach the next generation, all right? And generally, they have an excuse because the next generation acts like brats. It's understandable. But that's just childish behavior. That's normal for a child to act like, a little bit of a brat. And that's, they're supposed to learn. So the older generation has become like less parental in a sense, the oldest generation. Been completely desensitized, whether it be by drugs or, working forever. Um, they've been completely desensitized to what's actually going on. I said it in a comment earlier today. I'm like, Trump, he's the only boomer that actually stood up in the capacity that he did in a meaningful way and stood up for our country. He's the one boomer that actually made a difference. So, every other boomer should be thanking Trump for salvaging any bit of, the older generation's image. But I've been explaining this for a while is that it's already past its breaking point. So people being decent to each other and judging by character of the person, it's already past that point. We cannot make change that way anymore. Why? Because everybody's lost their freaking minds. To being honest, you're never going to get everybody on the same page again. The only way you would do that is by shutting off the internet, shutting off electricity, putting people in a desperate situation where they need to start working with each other. But, the AI companies, they're going to make these big changes. What they are likely going to do is they're going to pull back on software that enables sort of an island mentality, if that makes sense. So, like, if you're able to perform anything that's solo, if you're doing a solo gig or something, they'll probably phase that out. It's going to be a group effort, and it's going to be like crisis situation. We don't have enough of a population. That's the way things may go, especially if we get rid of the immigrant population. He tried, but here's the problem: I'm trans. I'm just a person trying to live normally. What do you mean? Living normally, the only thing that like Trump has ever been against on trans is, first of all, there's like a few things. First of all, influencing the next generation to want to shut off their ability to produce before they can even like imagine what it means to make a child, imagine to run a household, imagine all that. That's one. So suggesting that in the school system, that's been going on for too long. Number two, No walking into bathrooms. If you're a dude that's like, you still got your thing, you're walking into a chick's bathroom. If you've already removed that, it's understandable. I can kind of get on, track with that. A dude's already removed his temptation, right? But a dude that's still got his thing, is still a dude biologically, and you're still a threat when it comes to seating someone without their permission. And it doesn't matter, even with that, it's about privacy. It's like they want to be around like people. I don't want a chick in the bathroom with me. You know what I mean? I'm trying to do my thing. I don't want a chick in there. Chick don't want a dude in there. Okay. That's number two. Number three, the biggest thing, transgender surgeries and treatment on minors. That's it. And what it also encompasses is that people shouldn't be paying for that surgery. I shouldn't be paying for somebody else to perform that surgery. So that's the other part. I guess that's number four. Nobody wants to pay for you to remove your genitals. Nobody wants to do that. Okay? So get that out of your mind. And that's it. That's really all it is. Nobody really hates trans people. Like nobody even really considers trans people as a thing. All this hate, that's been built online. So this is a hype train online built in fear. It's like fear mongering. Okay? Normally people don't really, I look at a gay dude, a regular dude, they're all just humans. The same thing as like a black, white, Asian, it doesn't matter. They're all just human beings. I'm going to talk to you like a human being. You know what I mean? But what the problem that you're probably screaming about is the hype train on the hate side, which is boomer mentality and Gen X. So boomer and Gen X have deep down like an inherited hatred for just anything. And they're going to bully and attack and harass, and they think superstitiously that that's going to help society. No, that's not what you dealt with either. You know what I mean? So they got the wrong idea. You got the older generation that's still holding on to my way is the best way for your future. This is my fucking future. You're not going to control my future like that. You know what I mean? You had a chance when I was 5. You weren't there. If you didn't make the change when I was 5, you don't make the change when I'm 50. So we got to take back our country from the illegals, from the immigrants in general at this point. We do not have enough jobs for everybody. Well, Trump is against, okay, so here's another comment. Well, Trump is against our very existence for no reason. They're not. Trump is not against your way of existence. If you want to walk into a girl's bathroom, that's a problem. If you are a dude, or if you're a dude wearing a dress and long hair, it doesn't matter. That's not a way of life thing. That was never a way of life. This is a new phenomenon. Transgenderism is a new phenomenon. There's nobody attacking you besides the older, hateful generation that's too fucking old to care anymore. Nobody actually is attacking you. You're just making it up. Which I will admit, people are done. But in Europe, there is a gender neutral bathrooms. It comes down to upbringing. Well, so the gender neutral bathrooms, I agree with that. There's no problem with that. We give enough money to build all these extra bathrooms to all the school systems. We give funding to these gas stations to be able to run their bathrooms. They're getting incentivized to build their bathrooms. Why not make a gender neutral bathroom? So it's not a problem with that. I have no problem with that. That's not an issue for me. So you can feel comfortable, so you're away from, because there's plenty of trans people that may have turned trans to get away from a male environment. There's reasons why that males may want to turn female.
And the FBI warns that Chinese agents are...
Okay. Your internet is breaking up. Yeah, you know why? Because the software wanted to run, and I'm like, what the Is it good now? We're good. There's nothing wrong with like trans people, and Trump isn't against trans. He used to be a Democrat because he wanted people to be able to choose. That's why he hasn't gone hardcore on absolutely everything. And here's another thing, though. A lot of people talk about the whole Jeffrey Epstein situation as if he's trying to hide something. It's not him trying to hide things, it's the intelligence agencies that are trying to hide the things. And they're trying to hide it for a good reason. So imagine you are a victim. If there's 20 people in this chat, I'm sure that there's a victim or two. There's a victim out there. And usually when you're a victim, you don't speak up about it, right? You're a silent victim. Now, that means there's a blind spot. And we don't want to expose all the blind spots to the people who will do the damage. That's the reason why these files are not just let out in full, maximum capacity. Same thing with the UFO files. We don't want to let other countries know our blind spots in our airspace. It's the same concept. So understand that's why the Epstein documents haven't been passed out. On top of the fact, well, my perspective is that if you go after the old generation, all you're doing is going after the very few who got caught out of an entire swath of many tens of millions of people who did fucked up things and got away with it. I am chill with trans people. It's a genetic thing they got no control of. I just hate that people bringing up new genders. The fuck is cow gender for people? That's so. Is it the furries? The people wanting to identify as an animal and stuff? That's the same thing as the lesbian epidemic. It was spawned online. So lesbianism, that was spawned online. And it was a trick for dudes to catfish chicks with other chicks so that they can get information from them. That was one side of it. And then you got the other people that are software engineers, and they have access to all the messages. And that's all like all the Indian dudes. You see these chicks, they're talking, they're like, oh yeah, this Indian dude was so sweet to me though. He's saying everything like a script. That's everything that he's saying is like a script. And I tell them that, and what do they say? They're like, oh my god, it did sound like a script. Yeah, it sounded like a script because they looked into your messages. They, not you specifically, they just looked into plenty of chicks' messages, and they saw this is what they like to hear. That's all hype shit. The only place in real life where that stuff actually exists is in schools, in children's spaces. No, I don't hate Indians. Just because somebody brings up a factoid doesn't mean that there's some kind of an emotional connection to anything. Like, my emotions are almost completely gone. When I say these things, it's coming from a factual perspective after years of just observing. I'm on a different kind of woke agenda, if you want to call it a woke agenda. My agenda is against rude behavior and blasphemies. I think the N word should be banned as a blasphemy because there's no logical use for the word except for a negative usage. There's only a very, historically linked terrible usage of the word. It should be seen as a blasphemy. It should be banned. And I'm okay with not agreeing with that. Most people won't agree with that. But I think that's just one word we don't need to be using. And it should be actually banned as blasphemy. So that's my woke agenda, is to go after the people that are trying to cause harm. And AI will figure all that out. The AI is going to solve that in the future. It's hard for, I was saying this earlier during that last stream, it's hard for humans to recognize when somebody is doing something like terrible to you. and someone's trying to harm you. It's difficult for a human to recognize that. It's not difficult for a robot to recognize that. It's not difficult for AI to figure that out. So when the AI recognizes you driving your truck and it sees on the camera that you passed a bicyclist and that you revved your engine going up next to and past that bicyclist for no reason, it's going to label you as an issue, as a blaspheme. N-word is used for racism is bad, but most of them times people use it for a replacement word of bro/dude. That used to be the case when people actually got along and there wasn't this whole hoopla about it. But at this point, with an A at the end, it was acceptable for a bit, for like 20, 30 years. Okay. Maybe 20, maybe 15, 20 years. But we're at a point where they're there as if they're different fucking people than us, because I don't see them as different. I just see them as humans. They started this whole group and stuff, and now we have to have a reaction. We, as if we're a different type of people or something. We need to have a different reaction, and that's just simply as, well, you don't like that word? Let's get rid of it. And now I guess they can't use the word even with the A at the end. That's fine. But that's the consequence. Everybody wants to act like children. Well, you take all the toys away. You don't get any toys. You want to act with like the whole parental perspective, authoritative perspective. That's how you would do it. But they're not doing it that way. And if they're not doing it that way, it's kind of proof that that's not their angle. Like this whole Bill Gates trying to end the population of the planet and to shorten the population of the planet is real. The whole thing about it is it necessary? Well, kind of. But look at the races, the countries that are producing and populating the most. Some people got 7 kids and they're living in a country where they did not grow up in. They were not born there, and they are getting paid by the government to be there. 7 kids, dude. Insane. The whole, they got subjected all those years because they belong to a different race. That's not them. That's an entire generation, 5 generations before them. What are you talking about? That's many millennia ago. Yeah, I just hit a vape. So what you're describing is in the past. It's irrelevant to us now. All of that is irrelevant. What needs to be paid attention to is a different sort of standard when it comes to what we've inherited. Like I was explaining in my last video that, of course, the people in the city, they have a harder time. And if people don't have enough money to pass on to their next generation, then all that person is going to inherit is poverty. You see? So my solution was to give at 18, everybody who turns 18, $10,000 cash. Not cash, but like, you know what I'm saying? $10,000. And where this would go is car, work expenses, and rent. That's it. That might save tens and tens of thousands of dollars later when that person doesn't need a social. It's a simple solution, but you don't see anybody coming up with these solutions. Is because the people that have the influence, that have the power right now, they don't want to do anything like that. They don't have people like myself to bring them these ideas. they're keeping very favorited type of people. As you could see, that society is a separate society. AI is going to provide a centralized authority outside of the government. So instead of us listening to a bunch of different people that don't know what the fuck they're talking about, we're going to listen to the AI, and the AI is going to know exactly what we need. But you have a choice whether or not to go along with that AI and receive the mark of the beast, or go into the woods and live off grid. These are the two different opportunities, the two different options that we have. So I was talking about that, how like blasphemous actions, blasphemous behavior is the problem. Why, like, if you're trying to destroy something, somebody builds something and you're trying to destroy it, you need to be removed from society. It doesn't matter the reason why. I don't like that person. It doesn't matter the reason why. If you're trying to destroy shit, get out. If you're trying to harm people, get out. Intention matters a lot. Intention matters almost the most. This whole notion of the path to hell is lined with good intentions or something like that. That's an insane statement. Intentions. The only moments that that phrase ever applies is in grandmaster plans like Hitlerism or something like that. You know, oh, we want to give people back the power, so we need to get rid of this whole demographic of people. Dude, the Jewish people were already like there. They were like born there. They had been there for a very long time. It wasn't so much of an invasion, you know. Same thing that like the same thing kind of applies with Russia. Like Ukraine trying to say we're totally independent, we can join NATO. There's a ton of Russian people in Ukraine. Like Crimea was mostly Russian people. You know, basically kick people out that didn't speak the native tongue of Ukrainian. They spoke Russian, like, and chose Russian based words rather than Ukrainian, then they'd basically be like exiled. So that kind of stuff was going on. That's why Russia jumped, you know, ran through there. Where's my phone? Oh, it's right here. I'll go to my liked videos. The immigration. I don't know if he's been yelling about it since. I haven't heard him talk, but somehow he makes it in the news cycle because he talked to Pierce Morgan and he snaps on him or something. And I'm just like, these are the headlines, not, hey, there's a local, you know, shop over here that needs parts for this or that. There's none of that happening on the internet. That's the kind of stuff like what eBay used to be. That's the kind of stuff that the internet was used for, as well as education. That's what it was supposed to be for. Now it's turned into just a degenerate wasteland. I have the answers. I don't have the tools. The thing that I said that shouldn't be said is being talked about again. I have a feeling that I actually don't even have a feeling. I don't know where it's going to go from here. I feel like everybody's going to lose their like sensitivity to the issue. Did you know a special kind of Lyme disease has now been found on the East Coast that was only found in 2 other states in the West, like Midwest? Graham Hancock went on The Diary of a CEO and he explained just what, you know, most people who are skeptical about our history understand. And he's one of the front runners on all of this, but he brought up a few extra points that I forget what they were, but they were important. And that was good. But he did that because he's getting heart surgery in the next month or this month. And he may or may not survive. Small chance that he won't survive. So he went on, you know, and tried to have a long conversation about it. I think I got halfway through it. Oh no, I only got about a third of the way through. It's a 2-hour document. He said also about they're lying about Antarctica. I didn't get to that part in the video yet. Conor McGregor is pissed. Been watching a lot of like, never mind, just old videos of how to make stuff. But my tooth is hurting and it's like, oh my god, dude. Ow. You got a busted toe. Bad wisdom tooth. Alright, what else can we talk about? Something about Disclosure Day gonna be a big thing, but I'm never gonna actually watch Disclosure Day because I don't pay for streaming services, so I don't know how moving that movie is really gonna be. You know, there's psychological operation, the people that want to promote psychological warfare against us, their methods are becoming less and less effective because we're becoming more and more decentralized. People are talking about the same thing less often. I can't believe that video also got almost 1,000 views. That's ridiculous. And warning people about Screwworm only got 50 views. Come on. 3.6 thousand views on my Spencer Pratt video. The world screwworm is a flesh-eating parasite. It's deadly. The only way to get rid of them is to pay a subscription service to Google and have them breed non like like bugs that are unable to breed. They have to breed bugs that are unable to breed to overwhelm the population. So if they're using this whole, in a way, what are they transitioning bugs at that point to get rid of the bugs? What do you think they're doing to humans? What they're trying to do to humans? It can't work because our nature is not, doesn't lean towards doing that. All these people are just so desperate to be a headline, dude. Like, who the fuck cares about this dude? Like, what's the dude's name? Guy Benson goes off on miserable leftists. Like, I don't even know who the guy is. Everybody's desperate to be a headline. Like, who the fuck is talking about this, dude? Who really cares about this? Ma'am Donnie defends Chevalier endorsement after resurface post. That's what people are talking about, not how to get the fucking economy running. Tell me where to get the fucking tools. Tell me where all these jobs are. Make some connections out there. Like, what are these people doing? They're just farming us for attention and getting money. They're gonna farm us until we're dead. That's what they're trying to do to the next generation. Their devices. That's why I think by 2032, people would just smarten up there. Pentagon under lockdown over air quality issue. Really? House fails to pass 3-week FISA 702 extension. I don't care. Why is this a headline? DOJ announces charges in trafficking. Awesome. I already watched that and I get like. Judge says challenge to anti-weaponization fund is moot. Can we be more specific? Judge says something. How is that a headline? Just slop. Like, it's not just AI slop. This is not AI. This is real news stations putting these as their headlines. And they think that's what people need to be seeing. Instead of talking about the dangers that are occurring. There's probably people losing their life right across the freaking, like, within miles of you. You would want to know about that. You would want to know about, okay, there's a crisis going on. No, they force you to get into these local news apps to where they sell even more data. More of your data. They never talk about what's actually going on. You know, I ride through the streets at night on my bike, and you know what I see sometimes? I see, well, actually too often. In the last couple of months, I've seen 2 times an ambulance with its lights on, no sirens, no, you don't hear it at all. For miles and miles and miles. You never hear the siren, but there's a ambulance heading to go and pick up. So this stuff is happening, and these big companies dealing and selling our attention data. Like, you want to look at the big picture of it, you want to look, zoom out for a minute. That's really what's going on here. Students from 33 California schools celebrate the World Cup in Silicon Valley. I don't care. That's not what I should be seeing on the news. Anthropic CEO floats AI tax to fund universal basic income. That's dead in the water. It's not happening. Okay, there we go. So they'll put in an, there we go. So they'll put in an AI tax, right, to fund universal basic income. And then when people start using it locally for free and they don't need the new models, where's the money going to come from? They're going to need to force people into AI. How do they do that? They stop offering free access to information pages. Everything's about to become, you have to pay in one form or another for your access to knowledge. Have that in mind. You're not going to a library and sifting through 50,000 books to find the book that's going to make the most sense to you in the shortest amount of time. The Bible might even get banned. We got some strange times ahead. Really close too. 2027 is going to be a very crazy year. It's going to be like space age. I told you so. That's something I gotta do. Rebuild the monkey's paw. My foot almost feels like it's healed. So I didn't know Patreon had like a paid type of post and a non-paid, a free member type of post. So it's interesting to see that nobody actually added me on Patreon. Ariana Grande demands White House stop using her song for barbaric ice something something. I didn't see the rest of it. Sorry, lady. If they're paying for it, then you can't really control who uses it. Like, if you want to rewrite the rules, then find out what that means. I mean, go ahead. Remove copyrights completely. Actually, what she's doing is she's calling for harder control. This is an interesting story right here, which everybody, if you haven't heard this one yet, this is kind of like a smoking gun.
California. Entities Los Angeles Skid Row are raising questions about voter outreach efforts in the recent primary election for mayor. And President Trump says the Justice Department is investigating these claims of election fraud in California. Entities Christina Corona reports from LA.
So short answer is they found out that they were trading at least things to smoke to be able to get their vote, which is illegal. You're not supposed to buy people's votes directly. But that's what's been going on.
New claims from Los Angeles' Skid Row area are raising questions about voter outreach efforts in the recent election. Several residents allege they were offered money in exchange for casting ballots. Videos posted online by Ellie Mead Spencer Pratt shows multiple Skid Row residents claiming they received around $2 in exchange for voting in the recent Los Angeles election.
$2. You could not get my signature for even $10. I'm like, not even for $100. Like, I wouldn't just hand my signature off to somebody like that. That's insane. For less than a DoorDash delivery. I put my initials on that shit. When I do the receipts, when I do my DoorDash, I put my initials on that. I don't put my signature. These fuckers are putting their whole signature for $2.
Airbus, or Nithya Rama.
Karen.
Karen, they told you about for Karen?
Yeah, they had to send a little thing.
That's, how much they pay you?
It's like $200.
Made similar claims. One man.
Does she mean $20? You couldn't get me to do anything for $2.
Alleged he was not registered to vote in Los Angeles County, but was still encouraged to complete paperwork.
Not in this county. I'm in San Bernardino County, but they just said because they gave me a name. Say right now, they gave me everything to sign. They gave me a whole paper of like what to write and who to sign and everything. So
Another resident alleged people were sometimes instructed how to complete voter paperwork and ballots.
Well, the thing is like they were handing out cigarettes to people too. In exchange, it seemed like direct chain exchange for a signature. Gutfeld, I'll go back and watch you one shot today. There's certain people that I haven't been watching for a while, but it's like I know that they're there. Just I haven't been watching them because like I don't know. Like now's not the time. Well, this is nice. Now I can actually jump around to different apps. I can actually use my phone. A lot of the time when I'm doing these live streams, I'm just like, because it's like a one thing to look at, just like staring at myself. Kind of sucks. yeah, people were like, "Oh, it is Friday, isn't it?" Well, it's not really Friday yet, is it? It's never. It's not Friday until like 3 o'clock usually. You know what I mean? It's like once the day's actually over. So people were like, Atlas Earth, you need to pay money. No, look. You watch an ad, you get 2 free Atlas bucks. All I did was watch an ad. And it stacks up, and then eventually you get to earn. Let's see. You got 858 parcels. I've earned almost $1,020 the last 3 or 4 years. But that was all for free. Crash the cut. Lucky rebel. So apparently, free cash. That's like been a scam for anybody who's actually wasted their time on it. So there's like a bunch of streamers and video uploaders that are promoting freecash.com, and it's just no good. It's never been any good. That shit's been around for like since before I got it. Like, what is it? I think the app may be newer, maybe like 2024 or 2020, and then like before that, free cash was active. I'm gonna make sure though. Let me check about this app. Okay, yeah. So the site was out in 2020, and they came out with free cash app in 2022. I never downloaded it. I did go on the website, and I did make an account, and I did try to earn money on it by just watching the ads. And I looked at all the offers, and there just weren't any offers, like none available. It was almost like they were advertising a site to then put rewards on it later, rather than actually being a rewards platform to begin with. You don't need a fake ID in the Midwest. There's too many Indians just selling to kids all the time. Indian run shops. Fix the DMCA. That kind of stuff is impossible if you don't get enough grassroots support. Not enough people understand its importance because there's not enough people actually doing any designing. This 3D printing ban or new regulations around 3D printing is going to be the thing that enables a boom in manufacturing. So as soon as they settle that and they add patent detection technology, that is when you'll see a bunch of people start filing tons of patents for tons of ideas. There's so many things that you can do with the 3D printer. The people that have the 3D printer right now are useless. The people that are in power now that have all the fucking tools right now, useless. There's so many things that you could do with that level of power. Why are dudes trying to act and look like chicks, dude? Like they're trying to act like they're e-girls or something. Try to make some music. I made a couple of good songs. It's an 8-minute song. That's great. Kind of repetitive. It's a short song, though. It's only like 3 minutes. Or 2.5. Mm. Since there's sound over there, it's like it doesn't really matter. Or a TV running. 3 o'clock, 3:30 in the morning. But it doesn't even matter because like every bit of sound that's like coming from this room can be easily canceled out from your end. And their sound can be canceled out from their end too. But I can't. Pump fund down to $500 million. So this is 5-volt. 2A. I wonder if I could charge this with that. Lower motor. Yes, this is a different song than the last one. They usually come in pairs. This is one that I made a while ago. It's trying to advertise a game that I've already played on the arcade. Like on Atlas Arcade. And they're showing an old version of it. Oh my god, my freaking teeth. It's almost only one tooth. Oh, it's not. Different version of the same kind of concept. I actually made a new, reused the style. It's a new one. A little too repetitive. It's only a 2-minute song. Really? It's like, yeah, it should. Yeah, it should be. Oh, okay, that's right. Here's a new one. You know what's funny? I said to exclude hums and vocals, but it still gave me hums. Come on. There's too many hums. Too many breathing. And it's only 2.5 minutes. Not worth it. Not worth it. I didn't pay for it. More hums. Dickheads. So I just put this on remastered and listen to that version. The timing is better. Go closer to the point. Nice. I don't like it. Like it's almost there, but it's not. It's just not going to make it. So I reuse the style. That's the style. That's the part of the style that I want out. So how do we get that out of there? Slow stomping pulse. It keeps adding the part that I'm trying to remove. think that's just something that keeps getting added in there due to the limitations of the AI. Like this whole stomping, it's like stomping around, and I didn't put that in there. It's too repetitive. Only 2 minutes? Come on, 2 minutes, 50 seconds, 15 seconds. This is so far perfect. That's what I'm looking for. The thing that I'm worried about is like the backdrop. It just like stops at all the rest of the sounds and goes dun, 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 and it's like it hasn't been a legendary song. You can only do that in the song if it's already been legendary. Like this is okay. That right there, you like, it kind of stops the whole thing. It's like the stomp is harder than the actual song.
Rocky Rebel is crashing to hell with up to $1,250 in bonuses.
rest of that song in 8 minutes is just playing this. Basically silence. I remastered this, so we'll find out if the next version is better. I like it. I like that whole song. Is great. See if we can master it. It comes out better. I hope it comes out just as long. It's all right. I don't know if it's any better. Probably is. All right, done with that. With that for now. I think I'm done with the stream. But it was good to see that, I was able to stream. I was able to connect this thing. So have a good day, everybody. Thank you for joining. Thank you for the engagement. This is Godfinger.